once they are giving information, they also want you to provide feedback as quickly as possible. They are always power. They always want power. They always want to work in a collaborative manner. They don't want to work in isolation. They always want to be among their peers. So these are the category of people you're going to be managing during your training. And of course, we know this category of people are always less focused. They're always distracted. At any point in time, they're on WhatsApp, they're on telephone. They always want to multitask at any point in time as well. So, and also have high expectation in terms of changing work pattern. If you look at the rate of employee turnover of late, it's been very high because most generations these days, they don't have time to waste. They are fast movers. They don't have, they are not slow. They are very fast. They want to move at any point in time. So putting them in classroom to sit for hours, they don't have that time. You need to fashion a way to engage them. And of course, so what is the education for the future? What do we actually need to prepare this category of people to ensure that we engage them? One of the things that is very important is we need to change the way we design our classroom. Either we like it or not. Gone are the days where you sit the conventional sitting pattern where everybody is also sitting the screen. There's a change in the way the sitting arrangement is done now. We now have specialized sitting arrangements that is creatively designed to ensure that it promotes collaboration during teaching. Okay, so student desk line up in rows facing teacher is no longer the norm these days. While teachers can certainly educate their students, the traditional ways is being phased out. There are now new and creative classroom design that offers educators more freedom to explore and improve teaching method. So in these days, what you can see, unfortunately the slide is not on, I've got a picture where you can actually see the new modern way in which sitting arrangement is done. You can move your decks. You now have movable decks and movable chairs that allows you to move your chairs around. Okay, so what is it about classroom design? The classroom design is one thing that everybody who is going to be delivering training needs to think about. It's not just about your course content anymore, but you need to think about how you design your workstation. One, your workstation needs to be flexible. It has to be designed in such a way that you can move your workstation easily. Okay, so one thing that is also very important, remember, there's no single blueprint for creative classroom design. Okay, but one thing that is very important for you to get effective training is that it must be flexible. Okay, and a creative classroom design should allow for the whole group activity to be done, or it also allows for either small or individuals to be able to carry out their tasks as well. Okay, remember, we always have your classroom is always limited. So you want to use furniture that can be moved around. You can move your chairs, you can move your tables as well. That is also very important. And what does that do? It helps you to allow the student to interact more. It allows the student to be able to move around and reduce the number of hours that they sit as well. Technology is also very important. Now, gone are the days you tell students, don't come into the training with your phone. Now, most training, because they also have to use their phone to do research, to also be able to look for information as well. So what we are saying is that your workstation, the chairs and tables, they are modern chairs, so things are changing. If you want to engage this category of people, you need to have a workstation or a setup that allows for them to be able to use their digital devices as well. And of course, your room design is also very important. It has to be brightly colored and also allow for interaction of wall spaces. Okay, and the chairs you use has to be smaller. One of the things that we've seen in modern day design is that the instructor chairs are always designed in such a way that they are smaller. Before, you see previous design where a teacher's desk is taking about 30%
from
of the
there
space.
to inside there's
30% of the space. But these days, the modern design is saying no, reduce the chairs as much as possible so that the instructor can actually have less time to sit or have more time to move around and engage with the students. So what are the benefits of such design? It's more engaging and promotes engagement. and energetic and more enthusiastic students. So remember, modern classroom energize students and teachers as well. And flexible workstation also allows the teachers to manipulate the classroom for changing needs that can help to keep the students engaged and enthusiastic as well. So the second thing that we should be doing, remember the first thing is that we need to think about the design of our sitting areas, the design of your training room. The other thing that is also very important is educating citizens in an interconnected world. Is no longer such a thing as isolated issues or actions. Now we look for collaborative approach of teaching. You can have someone sitting in Dubai, someone sitting in Nigeria, someone sitting anywhere, and they can interact easily. We now have, we're in a global world now, okay? We've also had people who are in America and the teachers, instructors taking their students are based in Nigeria. So what we are saying is that for you to engage your students, you need to actually ensure that even when you set up case studies, it's more interactive, it's more of a global approach. Why? We are not saying local situations should not be considered, but your design, your course, it should be designed in such a way that it allows people to be able to do more research, see what others are doing, what better practice is being done globally. So you want to allow them to be flexible as much as possible and to be able to use their devices to do research as well. Now, the role of educators is also changing. Now, if you are still in the old days where you have to teach using conventional methods, that has changed now, okay? So it's no longer fit for purpose. Now, educators are not seen as people who just give out information, but they're now seen as people who interact more, you know, who actually guide the students to be able to bring out their research skills. So you are not just giving information any longer. You are seen as someone who is giving out, who is guiding the student to be able to seek for solutions themselves. So your instructors are seen as guidance. So what this means is that if you are designing your training, you have to design it in such a way that you are having less information to give out, but rather more activity or more guidance to the student to be able to guide them to look for information. Then in case they are deviating, then you are there to always guide them back. So teaching life skills needed for the future. And of course, whatever you are teaching needs to be fit for the future as well. You need to consider the current trend. For some of us are still using old maybe training manuals. We need to look at that. If you are teaching about health, that means that if you are talking about biological hazard and other form of hazard or other health hazard, now you now need to emphasize more, for example, now about COVID-19 and other emerging risks as well. So you need to think about that as well. So in terms of your training, there are a lot of, most of us play games now. We heard of the 3D games as well. So these are being integrated into training as well. And most of the trainings of it is beginning to incorporate more practical skills, practical-based training. It's not just physical. You can't keep people in training for too long anymore. It's just giving out theoretical information. People want to interact with the environment. They want to feel like the environment where if you are teaching about fire safety, they want to feel like they're actually in the midst of that fire trying to solve the solution. So more and more organizations are beginning to implement 3D approach in their training as well. And we've seen a lot of fire safety training being done 3D and scaffolding training where you don't actually need to physically expose the candidate to real life hazard, but rather you want to try them first using 3D models to be able to visualize and feel like they're in that environment. So these are current changes that as you design your training, you need to implement these things and ensure that they are reasonable and is in line with current practices. And of course, people are beginning to look for better ways of getting the right education. You don't have to spend, for someone like me, I spent 5 years in my undergraduate degree doing Bachelor of Engineering, Mechanical Engineering. Okay, things are changing. There are a lot of programs out there that reduces your time, that ask for more better work experience. So you need to think about this as well. Do you want to incorporate your training in such a way that you can get some international modules incorporated? Let the student do more practical experience and less of spending hours in the classroom reading and reading. For example, for those of us who have level 3, if you don't have a BSc and you have a level 3 qualification in operational health and safety, you can get admission to the university straight away to do a final year in any of the universities in the UK. What has that saved you multiple years of about 3 years in Nigeria, reading for 3 years, and of course, so you can do a level 3 and just do a master's, a final year BSc. Or if you have a level 6, you can actually do a master's directly with work experience without even having a first degree. What does that mean? It means that the things are changing. People are not actually emphasizing more on just classroom-based. Experience is also very important. So it means that even as we design our training programs, we need to think about this. Let's put less emphasis on putting too much information, giving too much theoretical information, but more emphasis on how they apply the little you're giving them to the workplace. And a lot of assessment. Also, the other thing is, how do you then assess your students for effectiveness? Okay, assessment is not just written assessment these days. People now make it flexible, like a continuous assessment. You teach them, you give them homework, they do it, they bring back, you assess, and you also do what we call post-study support, post-training support. After the training, you want to give them assignments, like a practical assignment for them to do. And when they are done, you want to look at that and also offer post-study support where you then monitor their effectiveness, even in real life situation when they are back to work. So these are things that is changing the way we do our work daily. Unlocking technology, almost rounding up now. Unlocking technology to deliver the education, like I said, you cannot take out technology from education these days. Okay, it is very important that we all embrace new technology, new equipment. It comes with its own challenges, just like I've had today, but nonetheless, it still comes with so many benefits as well. Okay, we now have a lot of e-learning platforms, the Microsoft Teams, Zoom, and the rest. And of course, some of the issues with this software is like compatibility with whatever software equipment you're also using can also be a challenge. But generally, they have more advantages than disadvantages, as you already know. So basically, we want to encourage you to use more of modern technology. Your whiteboard, you can use your whiteboard on Zoom. You can use your rooms that allows you to work in group as well. You have breakout rooms on WhatsApp that you on Zoom that you can use as well. Even on Teams as well, you have breakout rooms that you can also use to even encourage group chat and group discussion as well. So there are also many software like the high screen, the screencast, TextMeet. These are examples of software you can also use and integrate it to your training program. So you can also give them assignment to try and use these tools as well to increase. Of course, 3D, I mentioned earlier. 3D is not so common in Nigeria, except for games now. But as we progress technologically, it's more and more, although it's quite expensive at the moment. But in future, we're going to be seeing more and more. I foresee in a very short time, we're going to see less people having a space to go and do firefighting. You can actually do that, train people using the 3D fire safety application as well. So, and of course, inspection and the rest is the lot of apps that is being used for educational purposes as well. You can teach a lot of apps for carrying out, for example, simple HSE inspection or fire safety or fire risk assessment. There are a lot of softwares and apps that are out there that can help you improve and enhance your training delivery method. So generally, the idea is that technology has come to stay. And lastly, we must actually think about our delivery method. Okay, it's all encompassed what I've said before. Okay, your delivery method must be interactive. Make sure you are engaging people, you are engaging as many of the participants as possible. Give options for creativity, like I said. You need to allow for people to go for creative discussion, allow people, that's why your workstation should also be designed in such a way that it allows people to be creative. You want to have a workstation that allows people to move around, that allows them to stand, allows them to sit 3 hours, allows them to put their decks together in group within a short period of time. You don't need to drag the decks. Like I said, people now use movable tables. So when you give out group work, somebody at the extreme end of the room can slide his table and start the group work. You also, like I said, you also want to have a workstation in such a way that they can use their laptop so that it allows them to be able to use those tablets or computers for that research. You can also want to use polling method and interactive techniques. Okay, sometimes you also want to ask questions because sometimes you also want to test your opinion. What did they think about something? Now, like I said earlier, delivery method is not just about an instructor giving out information anymore, but rather instructors are now seen as guidance. They are there to guide, but not to just give out information. So you want to use polling as well. You can also have your poll in your Zoom as well that allows you to get feedback from the student. So and other help you to further develop your system more. Use global approach, then localize. Look at your training from global approach, then you can then localize whatever information you want to use. Like I said in summary, also use apps as well, and ensure that your strategy is more of real life scenarios. I'll give an example. You want to give a process safety training for an organization. Now, the goal at the days is just sending the course outline. Now, do you take time to do like a pre-training check? Do you send pre-training check to ask information about, what is it that you want to see within the training? What are your processes? Rather than you bringing out a P&ID diagram to explain, do they have an in-house P&ID that you can use? If you are going to be playing videos around specific accident, have you wondered about what kind of process safety equipment do they have? Okay, so you might want to ask those information. What are your process safety equipment? What are the chemicals you use? What are the incidents that has happened in the past? So if you can get those information, then you can use that to streamline your training in such a way that it's localized to them, so that your case studies is designed around what has happened in that workplace before, the kind of incident that has happened before. Okay, there's no point giving a case study on noise when they've had dust explosion in the past before. So that will not be effective. But giving a dust explosion scenario for something that has happened before will be more effective for them. So finally, learn how to use your space and manage remotely. You must learn to use your space. Okay, instructors don't have more space these days. So we are going to be having minimal chairs, minimal tables. So if you are still using big chairs as an instructor, then you are still backward. You need to reduce the number of space you are using when delivering work, because imagine you are just one out of the 30 people in classroom. So why is your space occupying about 30% when you are just one out of the 30 people in the classroom? Reduce your space. Let the student have more space to move around as well. Like I said, use the space. Your space is not just your desk. The walls you have, make your walls as bright as possible. Make use of those walls. If you have walls, if you want to teach about risk assessment, have a massive picture on your training wall, on your training room that shows about different hazards, so that even as you train, people can stand up, look at the walls, talk about it, discuss it, and have a good interaction. So on that note, I want to thank you for listening. In summary, your training, the exchange in global education, and the impact on training effectiveness can only be achieved if you change your delivery method, you change your teaching style as well. Then, of course, you also want to make sure that you are using effective tools, technology for delivery most of the training you are also delivering. And you also want to make sure that your teaching is relevant for the future. You also want to ensure that your role as an educator and instructor is not just dishing out information, but guiding the student to be able to research, to become better researchers, to become better innovators. So you're only guiding rather than just dishing out information. So thank you for listening.
That's a very lovely one. Thank you, Regina, for the very, very good one. Thank you. Thank you. I appreciate you. Because you must be a coach. You must be a coach, not just a talking trainer. You must be able to be impactful, impact the people. They have something to take home from the training. Thank you so much. Please, participants, we are going to share the screen, the slide with us as soon as we collect the slide from Medina Fode. Since we register, we send it across to us through our email addresses. Thank you so much. Let's move on to the second class. The second lecturer happens to be one of our very great leaders, very, very, very great. She's an administrator, a safety solution consultant with over 30 years experience in safety management system and compliance. Of course, the lecturer is an ISO 9001 conformity assessor, certified lead safety auditor, and RCA certified. She is a fellow of many safety and risk institutions in UK and Nigeria. The co-visionary and pioneer Director General of the Lagos State Safety Commission, who when he was the DG, we started from Lagos having the culture from 5% to about 25%. A very good job, a very well done job. And the speaker and the lecturer has managed safety implementation for various workplaces and domestic safety issues. Being a mother, and she believes so much in safety in the home, SIT. She holds a master's and bachelor's in food and consumer studies and health and safety respectively. She is very passionate about safety and has championed a lot of initiatives, including Waste to Wealth as part of Safety in the Home, SIT NGO. I have the honor to let us know today that having served the Lagos State government very well, fortunately for her, the incumbent governor, Mr. Governor, was the one that interviewed her for the position of DG Lagos State Safety Commission. Upon leaving the public service, she moved into private practice with Safety Plus, which is overall leader and commander of Safety Plus, commander-in-chief of Safety Plus. She's a very nice woman, a philanthropist, and a member of Rotary Club Ikeja. I have the honor and privilege to manage the profile the way it is and introduce to us Mrs. Dominga Odebumi. Ms. Odebumi presently is on transit, and while inside the vehicle, there may likely be a lot of network issues. So she has directed that her daughter was part of that presentation. So Ms. Rolake Odebumi, that's her daughter, would be the one to make the presentation. By the time she presented, she can be around to join the question and answer session. Let's welcome Mrs. Dominga Odebumi. A round of applause for her, please. And therefore, please, let's bring out the slide and we share a slide. Thank you.
Good evening, everyone.
Good evening. Ms. Rolake, good evening.
Good evening. My name is Rolake Odebumi. I will be giving today's presentation on behalf of Mrs. Dominga Odebumi. Thank you. So, I extend admirable appreciation to all persons that have contributed one way or the other in making our world a better place, while giving glory to God for his protection, his kindness, and his promises. The world as we see it before 2020 is now on a different plane. We are now in a new world that needs more OHS. I believe our era to reshape the world for the better is here in our own little way. So thumbs up all. Exactly what Dr. Oluwagbemi saw ahead and started in Nigeria. Like Martin Luther King, he had a dream, and it is unfolding through the future of work. Warm greetings to the organizers, SAEF, of Dr. Oluwagbemi's legacy for organizing a colloquium in Baba's memory every year. Big hugs as always. May your energy and wisdom grow like a palm tree. I salute all safety family as I greet my colleague speakers, great discussants, and listeners whom I believe will definitely learn a lot from this program. Dr. and Mama Oluwagbemi are indeed unique people in our generation. Mommy, happy birthday, Ma. We love you and pray for a long life in good health for you, Ma. Oluwagbemi family, we thank God for your impact in our world. I am grateful for the opportunity to present at Dr. Oluwagbemi's annual colloquium. For those who believe in me and look forward to my presentation, I thank my mentors, spiritual and professional, that have been keeping me on my toes with developmental stretch through their platforms. Finally, and more importantly, to God, the giver of life, that in his mercy has given us this platform to celebrate a great leader's memory. In line with the OHS world to enshrine and improve safety, culture, and compliance, in 2020, we advocated to sustain OHS legacy, leadership by example, and many contributions did justice to Baba's legacy. And here we are gathered this year to address the future of work through OHS perspective, such an apt theme. Please, can you click the next slide? In 2020, I charged that we unmask leadership OHS in pandemic times and beyond, on the heels of learnings and relearning. The purpose of leadership is to successfully take people from a place to a desired destination. I was particularly chuffed by the yearnings of our upcoming professionals who wanted to know if a safety professional can become a CEO. As a matter of fact, when we become our nation's economic drivers, the citizens will rejoice more because we have a large heart. Please, the next slide. With my topic this year in 2021, the 4 C's of leadership, I intend to share a few principles that will keep us focused, attaining greater heights, and drive the nation's economy for the good of humanity. After all, safety is divine. A deviating mindset will not find a sustainable space in the sphere of OHS. The 4 C's of leadership does not by any means totally exhaust the characteristics of leadership. However, for the purpose of OHS perspective, I present these 4 nuggets: consultation, cooperation, competence, and communication in the context of PDCA. Consultation, the literal meaning of consultation describes an expert giving advices on a situation, such as a doctor consultation. Consultation in safety is about being a good listener. The nugget here is to listen. We must develop our listening capacity, i.e. the ability to hear, take notice, be alert, and act or respond appropriately. Consultation in the context of PDCA is incomplete without listening in various segments. Knowledge is power, and getting it with understanding is wise. ISO 45001, clause 5.4, participation and consultation may be lopsided if we don't properly address clause 5.3, organizational roles, responsibilities, accountabilities, and authorities. The next C is cooperation. Here's the next slide. Cooperation. This is the action or process of working together to achieve the same goal. A common phrase, "can 2 work together except they agree," should steer us to making efforts to remove ambiguity in our relating with people, whether they're higher or below us. Going extra to understand the purpose and objective, also maintaining the scope and breadth of a healthy relationship and advancement. Discerning transparency helps cooperation from people we expect to work with or for. The third C is competence. This is the set of demonstrable characteristics and skills that empowers to improve performance. In pre-COVID times, competence was defined as operating with skills and qualification, focused more on training and knowledge and so on. However, in post-COVID times, competence has been redefined as operation with skills, knowledge, values and attitude, behavior, and the ability to apply. The new norm is more evidential. It captures how people are thinking instead of the why. I find this very interesting in my quest to understand artificial intelligence using algorithm. Basically, this simulates human thinking, processes using machines, crunching data, and sparing us space to invent. This is the future of work, even for OHS perspectives. Do you know that even Google just established Google AI in 2017 to propel artificial intelligence? I hereby challenge long-standing safety professionals and practitioners to leave the primary and secondary spaces of OHS for the new and upcoming to take, and instead move on to tertiary OHS. The fourth C is communication. Communication is a daily activity via words, virtual signs, symbols, imaginative hand signs, speaking, writing, and verbal. It is an act of giving, receiving, or sharing information. Good communicators listen carefully and respect different opinions. The most important of these 4 C's of leadership, if we are to drive our nation's economy and create more CEOs, is good communication. Take the example of Moses and Aaron. Moses himself was not a public speaker, and so his communication was done through his brother Aaron. And working together, they were able to make a difference instead of doing nothing, which is costly. You must remake with communication. You may rebounce and rebrand. Effective communication should be easier if we harmonize our strengths. For example, using a safety train or a new safety advocate podcast and many other ideas. The use of data is necessary in propelling communication. Clause 7 to Clause 10 in ISO 45001 emphasizes a great deal on evidence. This goes to show how important communication is. It is our evidence. In conclusion, we must apply the PDCA cycle. That is to plan, do, check, and act. It is a 4-step model carrying out change through controls and continuous improvement of processes and product, which will help to achieve our desired goal of consultation, cooperation, competence, and communication. Out of these 4 steps, the doing is often the greatest issue because of many different reasons. For example, the fear of failure can keep one from doing something, or whether it's finances, not having the opportunities, or self-ownership, and etc. Leaders achieve together, not in opposition. They must work together to make a difference and achieve. And so, our question for the future of work, OHS, is: who is a safety professional? Who is a safety practitioner? And was Dr. Oluwagbemi a professional, a practitioner, or both? The person with the correct answer must be under 35 years of age and will get Dr. Oluwagbemi's latest book for free. Please provide your answer during the Q&A session later on that will be hosted. So, long live the OHS, safety advocates, and long live Nigeria. Thank you all for listening.
Thank you so much. Are you a safety professional? Because you didn't read the slide one after the other. You put a lot of words to it. That shows that truly you prepared the slide with your mom. And God continue to bless you. Please, a round of applause for her. Very lovely, very soft-spoken, very insightful. Good job. I hope you can tell me, how old are you, please? How old are you?
I'm 26.
Oh my God.
Oh.
Wow. Because when she told me, and my daughter will assist me, I'm in transit, I say, Mama, your daughter can. This is safety, and that is a very good one. This is a lesson for a lot of us. We need to also let safety not to be we talking to outsiders. Internally, we also make sure we make our own people, the family, to also understand what we do. And that is why we are able to continue Baba Oluwagbemi's legacy, because the children, they are aware of what Baba is doing. You have experts amongst them, even in this safety and engineering. So it is not something new, and that is what it is. And thank you, Ajina Fode, for that insightful lecture. Thanks to Madam Dominga Dobumi, represented by Rolake. You have done so much that a lot of us would even like to give you some lectures from and do for us. Thank you, well spoken, beautifully presented. So simple. You see, life is just simple, and I love that your presentation. I've gained a lot from your 3 C's, using PDCA to your 3 C's, how you move to code description of safety. And I say, thank you so much. We have done very well. Question time, when you get to question time, we'll take questions from our people. But where we are now is to go straight, because of time, to panelist section and all the questions raised by Mrs. Dominga Debumi. That what do we do? All the areas raised by Kaode Fowode on training. These are new norms. These are future of work. I will hand over the panelist session to one of us, one of the great health and safety professionals that this country ever produced, and that is Julius Akmong. I also call him Prof. There are 2 people I call Prof in the profession. I call Dapomola Day Prof. That's my prof and my leader. And I also call Julius a prof for a lot of work he has done and contribution he has made. So Julius, thank you very much. Before you start, I want to recognize the presence of Ogasho Kabir of Ibita Yetufuke, Alfred Ajao, Amadou Shakiru, the PRO of Fire Service, and of course, the director of Lagos State Fire Service, Mrs. Margaret Adeseye. We recognize you. Lagos State is doing well. Lagos State Safety Commission, every represented, and even from all the work they've done, the TAT come back to join this forum. We are going to give opportunity for you to speak when we finish the panelist session for goodwill message. Please, thank you so much, Mr. Julius. Can you please take over from here?
Thank you very much, Engineer Jamiu. Good evening, everyone. It's been a fantastic period, and I feel privileged to be part of this event today. It's been very, very, very packed with a lot of sweet things to learn. Happy birthday, Mama. Welcome, all those that have been introduced. I would just like us to go straight into this panel session. And I will first of all announce and welcome those who are going to be our panelists, and then go from there to give a quick summary of the 2 beautiful presentations we have had tonight. So I'd like to start by welcoming the CEO of CTS, Complete Training Solutions, our own sister and hardworking global safety professional, global citizen, Mrs. Fumi Adegbola. Please clap for her and make her welcome. Because there's a global classroom, we are not keeping chairs and moving tables, so she's where she is, and I'm sure you can all see her from where you are. You're very welcome, Madam Fumi. And I would like to also introduce and welcome the global HSC guru, like Engineer Jamiu said earlier on, from the Dangote in HSC, Mr. James Adenuga. You're welcome. Please, you can feel free to unmute and tell us, and just give us a hi. And then the third person, we'll have only 3 persons in this panel. The third person will be Engineer Jamiu introduced him earlier on as the head of safety in the world, the WSO, that has a seat in the United Nations, and my own president, because I'm also a serious member of the WSO, Mr. Soji Olalokun. You're all welcome, please. Okay, so you can visualize them sitting there on the podium as we get into this conversation. We have talked about two things basically today while looking at the future of HSC, the future of work. And we have talked about the changes in global education and the impact on effectiveness of especially OHS trainings. And then we have talked about the 4 C's of safety leadership. And we have seen quite a lot. Thank you so much, Engineer Fode, for that presentation. I like how he started from the silent age to the baby booms, to the generation X and Z, and then now really drilled into this current restless, like we always like to call them, the restless generation, restless but very intelligent generation Z people. There is a need to prevent accidents in the workplace by channeling that energy that looks like a distraction into effective accident prevention at work. So he has talked about changes in classroom design, using and allowing the use of technologies, changing, engaging them more, looking at content designing, using 3D modeling. He talked a lot about placing more emphasis on practical implementation and unlocking technology while learning to manage our space, even as delivery people, looking also at our delivery method. And he concluded most succinctly by saying that the content must be relevant to the future. So don't go and dig up topics from hemp and the rest of them and begin to talk about in an age when people are talking about artificial intelligence. He talked a lot about guiding students to become leaders rather than just dishing out information. Should concentrate on practicals. People want to do, not just hear these days. Thank you very much, Engineer Fode. And thank you, Sister Rolake. We are going to come and learn from you how to softly present the slides so that that mastery that you brought into it was unique. Thank you so much. And then the future of work. You looked at 4 C's of leadership. Consultation has been there, but it was spoken to from a very subtle perspective that most of us will not see. And it's summarized in one word: listen. Listen to the people. And then he went on to say cooperation is to discern and try to understand, because two cannot work together unless they agree. And then competence has moved from the kit that we used to know to the ability to apply. And then, of course, communication. He identified 2 basic areas: the safety train that is held on Tuesdays on Traffic Radio, and the new SAIF podcast. We hope and pray for more of such platforms to come, so we better communicate HSE to our people, and then drill down to artificial intelligence. He concluded by saying that the fear of failure is worse, and then who is a safety professional, who is a practitioner? That is a question for a prize. And what I didn't like, which I'm not angry about, is the fact that you were partially bringing it down to those who are less than 35 years old. But that's fine. That's fine. So thank you very much. Applauses to all the presenters and the fantastic points. I would just like us to shoot straight into the panel discussion by asking our panelists to give us a 1-minute thought on what they think about the future of work, looking at the education and training aspect as discussed, and then the leadership aspect. How can we marry these two to achieve a future that can match our current challenges in the world of work? So let me start from the Dangote of safety, Mr. James Adenuga. You're welcome, please. A round of applause, please. It's a 1 minute, more like an initial brief, please. Let's clap for and make welcome Mr. James Adenuga.
Let's start from women. Ladies first, please. Start from Madam Fumi. Thank you.
Okay. Yes, ladies first. Okay. So thank you very much, Engineer Jamu. So yeah, let's start from Madam Fumi. So how do we move our trainings to that level, and also combine the right type of leadership that is required to achieve the needed amount of safety in this future, the new kind of work, artificial intelligence, and all the soft skills needed in the current future of work we are looking at?
Good afternoon, or good evening rather, everyone. And thank you very much for the opportunity to be on here to share with everyone. But most importantly, happy birthday, Mama. I wish you many happy returns, good health and sound mind. And so we will celebrate you again this time next year by the grace of God. And to all the leaders who've put this together, thank you so much. To the speakers as well, it's been an amazing one. Engineer Fode has done fantastically well. I was trying to summarize some of the key highlights of his presentation in the chat box, which I'll touch on in a minute, as well as Mrs. Odebumi, represented by her daughter. That was an amazing presentation from both speakers. But so thank you very much for that. And coming back to your point, Mr. Julius Apong, I think the two speakers have done a very great job. And a key emphasis that I would want to probably highlight on, which Engineer Kayode said, is, making sure that as trainers, particularly I train myself, is to make sure whatever our content are is future-proof. And I think it was Mrs. Fire Williams who raised the point. Am I sure, that I meant to say future-proof? Yes, I did mean future-proof, meaning that yet relevant. So the content must stand the test of time. We've seen how dynamic the world is and can be as well. And so we've got to make sure that our content must be able to stand the test of time, but most importantly, relevant in season as well. And so if we're talking about, what sort of tools can be used, especially also from a leadership perspective as well, we have to be able to leverage on technology, just like Engineer Fode said as well. We're now in the era, whether you are Generation X, Y, or Z, you really need to know and be prepared to embrace technology, because that's really the way forward to bridge any gap. One of the things that I was able to also pick up or try to marry the two from what the presenter said is Mrs. Dominguez's presentation spoke to the 4 C's of leadership. I also think in terms of training and technology and everything, there is the 4 C's as well as trainers in this time that we're moving into, that we must be able to. The first C is critical thinking. We must be able to ensure that we can inspire learners with critical thinking. The second C is classroom collaboration, which is what Engineer Kayode has spoken about as well. Motivate them through creativity or creative learning using technology. So I think what you're probably going to hear from everybody else as well is the importance of technology, because that's the new way forward. And of course, clear lines of communication, which were also picked up from Mrs. Dominguez's presentation as well. So I'm trying to pace myself because you've given me a minute to try and round things up, but I feel that there is a huge opportunity to marry the two, the 4 C's in leadership as well as the 4 C's in delivering training in the new times that we're in. Thank you.
Fantastic. Thank you so very much. I like the strategy of having 8 C's now. Let the 2 C's stand on the other, the 4 C's stand on the other side, and the other 4 on the other end. Thank you very much. Let me now call on the WSO president, Mr. Soji Olalokun, to add his voice to that, please. Mr. Soji, please. Mr. Soji, are you there? Okay, if Mr. Soji is not there, let me call on any other professional in the house. Let me call on any other professional in the house from just one person from the house. From your own point of view, how can we marry? I like the beautiful way in which that has been put, but let's also just hear another perspective. How can we marry the training and education, improving training and education, and also improving leadership towards achieving the current future of work that faces us, the current challenges for the future of work which we are faced with.
Okay, good evening, everybody. Sorry, can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you. Go ahead.
Apologies. I've been driving throughout the time. Apologies. And happy birthday, Mama. Thank you for having me on the. And if join the speakers, those that have spoken, and Madame Domingue, thank you for the presentation. Yes, we can't shy away from the fact that the challenges that have come to us in the world today, and looking at the future of work and why trainings would be taking a new turn, whether we like it or not. And from what Engineer Fode has presented, looking at the contents of our packaging of our training, and marrying into the key takeaways from the participants or the students or whoever we're training, as it were. It has to be cutting edge. It has to be what the industry needs. It has to be like he mentioned something about field tests, talked about TMAs, tutor marked assignment, talked about even following them after the training. I think all those need to come into play. I think in some trainings we've had, in some recent assignments as one of the prerequisites, go through the course and complete the course. Going forward, we'll start looking at that internship, like he mentioned, internship. Yes, we may have people that have enlisted to be trained, or many persons that have been trained, but at the end of the day, they don't have opportunity to practice. And so when we put our curriculum, in trying to put our curriculum together for the future of work and looking at the training curriculum, actually, if we marry all these things, like what he said, he presented into it consciously, not just looking at facilitating and concluding, the whole curriculum, but consciously putting this into perspective in the whole piece. I think it will go a long way to achieve the readiness for people that will be trained, or the professionals that will be leading us in the future, to be well equipped through these processes. I think that's how I want to drop that submission at this time. Thank you very much, Julius. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Chief Soji. Thank you. Thank you so much. Good to have you here.
Thank you
okay, I would just like to, before I call on Mr. Seun Awojobi, the technical advisor for Lagos State Safety Commission, before I call him to weigh in, I'd just like to add a small baby to that parent question by saying that, you see, in virtually every presentation that happens with regards to future of work, one indices, one denominator that has continued to come has been artificial intelligence. And you cannot give what you don't have. So what do we, already existing safety professionals, especially those in the baby booms and the Generation X, what do we need to do to be able to blend and be able to carry Generation Z along? So you're welcome, Mr. Seun Awojobi. Please weigh in on the initial question and this additional, please. You're very welcome.
Good evening, everybody. I'd like to stand on existing protocol and recognize everybody here, particularly the Director of Lagos State Fire Service, Mrs. Margaret Adeshe, and the Pioneer DG, Mr. Oluwagbemi, and all my leaders here present. I bring you sincere greetings from the Director General. Who really love to be here, but he's a bit under the weather, so I'm having to represent him. And I've also taken time to listen to what a lot of the presenters have said. And to be honest, it's very, very exciting, very inciting, and it's actually thought-provoking. But I'll touch on 2-3 points as to how Lagos State Safety Commission is looking to contribute to some of these things. And I think technology is a very, very vital point. For us as a commission, one of the things that we've pointed out as an agenda is to move from the point of physical inspections to self-regulation through quality health and safety management systems. Now, we believe that this would help us spread our tentacles faster and put checklists on the put safety checklists on the front burner of a lot of companies. Now, the idea behind this is we don't have to be there in person, but we can ensure that through technology, we are able to ensure to make every organization accountable. And I believe that technology would go a long way in driving this. Now, continuous consultation is also very important. And for us as a commission is to also implore everybody, all safety professionals, to as much advice, as much input as we can get to ensure that we are carrying everybody along to make safety a better place. Now, for leadership commitment, the plan of the commission is to seek leadership commitment from the governor. And as a lot of the safety professionals here are aware, we're working on a Lagos State Occupational Safety Master Plan. Now, this master plan, we intend to drive it across the themes agenda of Mr. Governor, where transportation and traffic management, health and environment, education and technology, we're able to get a master plan that drives the core of the government. And we believe that that is a way to secure leadership commitment from the angle of the state. Now, the last thing you touched on, which is artificial intelligence and how we can drive the Generation Z to channel their powers or their energy towards driving a safer. I think the first and the most important thing is to listen to them, right? And listening to them means that their ways of communication are quite different from our own traditional ways of communication. So we need to also listen to them a lot. And how can we listen to them? Create avenues for them, create avenues that they are already on to hear how they can contribute to safety, right? And I think the best way we can do that is creating platforms like what Saif is doing with the podcast. See how we can also take that to schools, see how we can create mobile applications that they can use, right, to further position safety as one thing, as the next big thing for us. For us, again, I think grassroots sensitization is also very important, and we'll continually do this with the road transport workers, with artisans, and everybody at the last end of the sphere. And I think these are ways I feel like we can further improve occupational safety and health drive in the country.
Wow. Thank you very much, Mr. Ojobi. Thanks. And thanks to the Lagos State Safety Commission for those beautiful plans and wonderful things we're seeing already. We hope to all be able to collaborate as the plans unfold to get them to fruition. I'd just like to call again on Mrs. Adebola to just weigh in again on the discussion around AI and the future of work, considering the movement of society to contemporary times. Hello, Madam Fumi, are you there?
Yep, I was just trying to unmute myself. Sorry about that.
Okay.
So could you come again, please, Mr. Julius?
Yeah, I was saying that a lot of discussions around the future of work seem to be saying a lot about artificial intelligence. And today we see generations revealed, and most of us can see we are not in Generation Z. A lot of us are in the Generation X's and the baby booms and all of that. So you can't give what you don't have. What do we need to do? Talking about leadership for the future of health and safety. What do we need to do to get into that level?
Right, okay. I mean, immediately what comes to mind, like you rightly said, you can't pour out from an empty cup. You've got to find a way to fill the cup up. And one of the ways to do that would be through training, which goes back into what Engineer Forward said, but most importantly, from a place of leadership, because some of the challenges as well, culturally, that I found anyways, and this is both in the corporate setting and outside of the corporate setting, is you find in Africa, because again, I'm based in the UK, but I want to try and find a balance here. In the UK, where we have leadership who particularly aren't exposed to an area or aren't particularly informed or equipped, they're quick to raise their hands up to say, well, I don't know and I don't have an idea. Whereas in Africa or in Nigeria, it's almost the opposite. They're not prepared to raise their hand up, or raising their hand up is seen as somewhat, a weakness to say you don't have the capacity. And so I would say the first thing is to, in Nigeria or in Africa, is to, as leaders, to raise up your hand to first of all identify that there is a problem, there is a gap, and then begin to intentionally try and close that gap up. And that would be definitely through training. And just, going back to what Mr. Oluwagbemi said, is these Generation Z, they're in the time and the space where artificial intelligence is going to be their reality, and that's going to be our realities as well. And so we need to be able to ensure that if they're going to be the future as well, we need to give them that platform for expression and understand how to be able to work with these people. But most importantly, I think it goes back into training where there is that gap, which we know there is that gap, and that is the future. We need to be intentional about, closing that gap up.
Great. Thank you so much. Thank you. I can see that you said it as if you prepared a presentation from which you took out to really answer that point. And just so that we round up this panel session, I know we can't really exhaust all the questions that we have because of our time, but to round up, I think that necessity is the mother of invention. There was a time when we were all just waiting to get into all this discussion about having lectures online and things online. We waited until it became something we must do. COVID-19 naturally introduced us to things that some of us were running away from and shying away from. Now, if you work in an office and you say you can't do an online meeting or you can't do certain things in a certain way, you see yourself gradually not fitting into a shoe. So it's become compulsory, and we must all start thinking futuristically and be malleable enough to move with the times rather than stick to our old ways. I want to thank Engineer Jamiu and Professor Dakbo for this.
Sorry, Mr. Oga at the top. Sorry, if I could just add add a thought here. Talking about AI and the future of work, rather, we had the privilege of having Dr. Kennedy from the IEEE, in one of our events, and he shared a wonderful experience with us about how they were able to manage the COVID-19 and all that with AI. He actually gave privilege to share his slide. So if you don't mind, I could even forward it on this platform before we go, so others can even have what they were able to do, how they were able to use AI technology to do the dispensing, contactless, what's it called, the dispensing of sanitizer. And in hospitals in Nigeria, not, they made use of local material, locally sourced material, because the borders were closed during the time of the pandemic and all that. It was quite enlightening. And I think he just brought, instead of talking about the future of, they were in the with the and all that, they were in the future of work. They brought it to reality. It was just looking at us, and it's not what they said, it's what they've done, and in the works are there today. If you don't mind, I forward that slide PDF file to the platform so that people can have the benefit of sharing or remain here on the events. And I think for us as professionals, we can, partner. We may not have the technology, like he was saying. I was discussing with him. He said he trains, he lectures in 4 universities, and because of technology, he's able to, go through all his classes online. That's the future of work. Like you were saying, we were communicating on Zoom. We go to the free conference app, several apps having different rooms and all that. People, working from home, working from remote areas and all that. All these things are things that are before us that we're using and we're doing, and we can take steps further or step it up, even where we may not have the technological know-how. Like he is there. There are several other people to partner with or leverage on and be able to take ourselves to where we want to be, to fast track ourselves into the future and also be relevant and also, lead the trail, and lead others into the future. I just said to drop that before we conclude. Thank you.
Wow, thank you so much. Thank you. You can just send that presentation to Engineer Jamiu so that when he's sending these other presentations here, they will come together.
Okay, that will be
instead
fine.
of sending it here, because if you send it on Zoom, as soon as we all log out, it gets missing. So if you can just send it to him, when he's sending all the other ones, they come together.
That will be fine. Thank you very much.
Yeah, thanks a lot. Thanks again to organizers. Thanks to the family of Oluwagbemi. His impact will remain with us forever. Thanks everyone for attending, and thanks for the opportunity. Saif, grateful. Over to you, Engineer Jamin.
Thank you, Prof. That's highly appreciated. Good job you've done there. We respect you. We salute you. We celebrate you. The bottom line and the summary of all is innovate or you break. If you don't innovate, then you are out of the ways. This is the word of innovation. This is the word of data. This is the word of technology. This is the word where you have to change your leadership style to be more transformational, to be able to manage the people. Thank you so much to all the speakers, and thanks to all our colleagues. Thank you, WSO leader. We celebrate you. You remain our leader. And thanks to my one and only Auntie Fumi all the way from UK. God bless you, Ma, for all your support for the profession. God bless you. God bless Soche A, and God bless every one of the women that are trying to add more value to health and safety in the world. Thanks to all of you. Thanks to the Nigerian Women Safety Association led by Monica and my one and only ambassador. Thanks to you all. Any questions and answer, please. And a very good thank you to Lagos State Safety Commission. This year happened to be the first year that Lagos Safety Commission will be involved in organizing the World Day for Safety and Health at Work. Well organized, properly done, well packaged. We thank so much. With all the things you want to do, please, everybody's open. We are ready to work with Safety Commission. You have been doing wonderful jobs. Please continue to do this good work. It's all for us. Safety is about all of us. So thank you so much. There is a particular note that Mama sent to us. We are going to play it in the next few minutes. Let's listen to Mama's statement for all of us. And question and answer, we've not seen any question. Ambassador Comfort, do you have any questions so far there? Ambassador?
No, there is no question so far. There are only comments.
Good. Okay, I've gained one thing. I've gained one thing now. I've heard your voice, and I'm okay by that one. It's always good to hear the voice of Ambassador. Thank you very much. Then we move to closing remarks. Prof, Dapo, please, we need to hear the voice of Mama. Mama has just done birthday. I can recognize the presence of Madam our one and only safety Nakoko. Madam Belinda Odeneye, I can see you inside. I can also see Baba Kofi Sego. Baba Kofi Sego happened to be the first health and safety manager Nigerian for ExxonMobil. Baba Kofi Sego is our father. We recognize you. We appreciate you. We salute you. Baba, you are welcome. Madam Odeneye, you are welcome, ma. Our permanent secretary, Ministry of Environment. We salute you. You are one of Papa's children. I will recognize you. So please, Prof, let us hear Mama's voice note to all of us.
Before we go to Mama, I just want to say a very big thank you. I'm online now. I'm so excited.
We don't need you again.
I was rushed. Thank you so much. Thank you. I'm really, really glad it went very well. I am so elated. The comments there were amazing. We need to really stretch our children, our young ones. We need to get them on. We need to pass on the baton very, very strongly. Thank you so much, everybody. God
Thank you, ma. You're welcome on seat. We didn't miss you much. I will tell you the truth. Okay, Dapo, please, can we have Mama's voice note? She was locked down when she wanted to speak to all of us.
All right, I'm just playing that.
Thank you, Prof. We can't hear it.
Safety professional. Good afternoon, safety members, body members of professional, for your support. I thank you for your love that you have for my family. My husband, Dr. Bamishayo Frank Oluwagbemi, died 5 years ago. You have there for us. I thank God that none of my family is missing. All we are here and healthy. Also, we thank God for this who has been in family that you are all alive to witness. Today is the birthday, very safe, that of, and our wedding night. Today is our family day. And I've promised God we always remember it with joy. Increase my joy indeed. And I saw the cash gift that you, my daughter, to me. And I really appreciate you all. God will reward your labor of love. We never miss heaven in Jesus. What you are doing, even when my husband is no more, has shown that you have love. For Christ, we never your own family in Jesus. Thank you all. I appreciate you. God bless you. Amen.
Okay. Thank you so much, Mama. Mama, we celebrate you. We all love you. You are a mother, and God will continue to give you long life with sound health. We love you. You are a mother in safety. And as I always say, you are always with Baba when we have program. And you always follow him down. And you'll be on that table there, be listening when we are sharing our Papa when he's talking. God bless you, ma. And to all of us that are here today, we thank you so much. We celebrate you. We always want to say that you are highly appreciated, because the truth of the matter is Without you, we cannot be able to be where we are today. A lot of you are mothers, are women. We need to do more. Women, please. Women, please, let us do more. Please, let us do more. Please, let us do more. Because you have seen that what you women, what you touch is always coming very well. Remember COVID-19, all the women that led the whole world, they did very well. From New Zealand to Taiwan, to Germany, Angela Merkel, to Jacinda, you've done very well. I always say it, when women have done things, we not see men. Our own is palliative, we'll be fighting for. Thank you so much, women, for making us proud and for making us believe that a lot of things can be done and we can always do more in this health and safety. The Director General, the Director of Lagos Safer Service, Madam Commander Adeshe Margaret, you are still around? Can you just please unmute yourself and let's just hear your voice before we conclude. Madam Adeshe.
Good evening, all. I'm around. I'm available. Thank
please
you very much.
Please go ahead. There's no fire to fight. Fire us well here, please, man.
Thank you very much, Engineer Jamiu. Good evening, everyone. It's a great one. I really enjoyed the program. Thank you very much.
Okay, it is Shoki Loboge. Thank you very much. We appreciate you. We appreciate you, man. Thanks so much. The plane is about to land now, and I'll quickly call on our great brother, in short, one of the people we look up to in Baba's family, Engineer Michael Oluwagbemi. You are highly saluted and highly celebrated. Big Ebon, can we hear you, please? Close remarks. Closing remarks, please. Okay, while we are waiting for closing remarks from Engineer Michael Oluwagbemi, we want to use this medium to thank all the children of Baba for a wonderful and support that we have been having from them. Thank you so much. Thanks for logging in all the way from Canada. Our big sister, we appreciate you. We love you. You've done so much. Even after Baba, before Baba, you have been doing so good. Great job. We recognize you. All the children, Dr. Dolapo Conte, Mr. Jonathan Osoyingbemi, Ejamake Oluwagbemi, Pastor Bumi, Jasmine Omeke, Tosin Obademi, Femi Oluwagbemi, and Togo Oluwagbemi, and all the grandchildren that have logged in. We thank you so much. Can we all unmute ourselves, please? Let us unmute ourselves and sing a birthday song before we call it a day with closing mark. Please unmute yourself, everybody. Please let the women lead us in this song, please.
Happy birthday to you.
Hold on, let us do it together. Can you mute everybody, please? Prof, mute everybody.
Happy birthday.
Prof, mute everybody. Let's do it together. Lead us in this. Okay, let Mrs. Dominga Debumi and Mrs. Belinda Odeneye, both of them Ode with a fine English name, Dominga Belinda. And the last time I had Belinda is a Linda film. Belinda, hey, Belinda, oh Belinda, and Dominga too. So the women, can you please lead us, please? Prof, unmute every one of us. Let's sing a birthday song led by these two women, and we join them together.
Let's do it.
One, two, go. Happy birthday
to you.
Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you.
Happy birthday to you.
May the good Lord bless you. May the good Lord bless you.
May the good Lord bless you.
May the good Lord bless you.
So much,
Hooray.
Can we have your closing remarks?
Can we call on Dr. Oluwagbemi
Dr. Conte,
to give the
our
closing
big sister,
remarks?
please give us the closing remarks. Big sis, can we hear you, please? Big sister, can we hear you?
Oh my, so sorry. I didn't know how I was on mute.
Yes.
Thank you so much, everyone. I really appreciate the opportunity to be here. I thank you all for making this day a great one, again, a memorable one. Thank you, everyone, all of Daddy's professional colleagues, Engineer Jamu, thank you so much. Our mother, Madam Dominga Odebumi, everyone that has made today, a reality. Engineer Japo Omolade, God bless you. God bless. I cannot mention everybody's name here, but I know that every one of you that has made today, I can say for real that you guys have, you have, just like Mommy said, you have true love, because it takes, that love for you to keep doing the same thing again for the past 4 years. I want to say thank you to you all, and we really appreciate you, the entire family of the Oluwagbemis. I have a few of my uncles here. I can see them. I can see Mr. Yinka Jamifo. I can see Mr. Dekunle Oluwagbemi. God bless every one of you. I can see some of my aunties are also on board as well. The entire family of the Oluwagbemis, and then the entire safety family. I really appreciate every one of you. I'm sure that Baba will be smiling, wherever it is right now, because this day is being used, not just to talk about his legacy, it's also to educate. He's somebody that is very passionate about education. He's very passionate about the youth, and he's very passionate about, professional development. I want to say thank you very much to everybody. Thank you for making his legacy, to endure forever. God bless every one of you. I want to say thank you again, Engineer Jamiu, for always putting, life into the program. It is, thank you so much. And I say happy birthday again to Mommy. I'm sure she's been holding forth, and she's so grateful. She's so happy, for everyone, for all the love that has been extended from every one of you. She's grateful, and she's really extending, our appreciation to everyone. Thank you for making, time out of all your busy schedules to make today. God bless you. And by the grace of God, none of us will be missing next year. We'll all be together, to celebrate this day again. Thank you so much, and I have a lovely day.
Amen.
Yeah.
Thank you so much. We appreciate you. On behalf of every one of us, we say thank you. I will call on the director of welfare. That is in person of Azan. See you in 2022. Azabi Azan, can we hear you, please?
Be
the glory.
Sorry, before Hassan, the questions, maybe you want to mention that those who answer those 2 questions can send it to Sayef.
What we did was that we didn't even ask them, but we are going to send it to them online with the presentation. They will not answer and respond to us. Thank you so much, man. Okay, Hassan.
Good evening, everyone. Hello, good evening, everyone. To God be the glory.
You can unmute yourself. Azan, unmute yourself.
Okay, can you hear me now?
We can hear you. Please go ahead.
To God be the glory for a successful colloquium. As you all can see, Baba Oluwagbemi spent his life doing good, imparting knowledge on others. A simple question for all of us to ponder on while tonight: what will I be remembered for? On this note, I would like to say a big thank you to everyone. God willing, I hope to see you all next year when we all come together for another annual colloquium. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Azan. By God's grace, 2022, it will be live, direct. We are all together. Just as my big sister said, we don't miss anyone. Thank you all for coming. We appreciate you. You don't need to go out. Continue to dance. Continue to send happy birthday greeting. Continue to greet ourselves. We must always be happy Happy, Baba make all of us happy. Please continue to rise. Enjoy yourself.
Let the music happen.
Jason, I slap police for your case. I go to war for your case. I go to court for your case. I climb the bridge for your case. Enter water for your case. I punch the judge for your case. Anything you want, baby, that's for you, baby. For your case, you. For your case, you. No. For your case, you.
I can hear the music. Good job. Good job. Congratulations. Happy birthday to Mama.
I go slack back for your case. I go call MC Oluwamo. I go report all of them. I go Jody for your case. I go slack back for your case. I go call MC Oluwamo. I go report all of them. So tell me, what the hell are you waiting for? If not to drop Indomie, we go drop. If not to suck it, guy, we go suck it. What the hell are you waiting for? If not to fly a car. Jason, I slap police for your case. I go to war for your case. I go to court for your case. I climb the bridge for your case. Enter water for your case. I punch the judge for your case. Anything you want, baby, that's for you, baby. For your case, you. For your case, you. No. For your case, you. For your case, you. No. 'Cause my papa no be Dangote. Oh, I deleke. But we go there, okay, yeah, yeah. For my papa no be Dangote. Oh, I deleke. But we go there, okay, yeah, yeah. Yeah, I go shoot for your case. I go slack back for your case. I go call MC Oluwamo. I go report all of them. I go shoot for your case. I go slack back for your case. I go call MC Oluwamo. I go report all of them. So tell me, what the hell are you waiting for? If not to drop Indomie, we go drop. If not to suck it, guy, we go suck it. What the hell are you waiting for? If not to fly a car, we go fly. If not to soak a kamu, we go soak. Fire against you. Fire against you. No. Fire against you. Fire against you. No. 'Cause my papa no be Dangote. Oh, I deleke. But we go there, okay, yeah, yeah. For my papa no be Dangote. Oh, I deleke. But we go there, okay, yeah, yeah. Yeah, I go shoot for your case. I go slack back for your case. I go call MC Oluwamo. I go report all of them. I go shoot for your case. I go slack back for your case. I go call MC Oluwamo. I go report all of them. For your case, you. For your case, you. No.
Yeah, that's the way to go.
I'll do the rest. Thank you.
Oh, yeah, welcome.
A great one, engineer. A good chef.
Daddy.
Oh, God, that for a good show. Thank you very much.
Thank you, our great leader. Thank you so much, sir.
Dance. Let's do
We are not going to go. We are here till tomorrow. If people don't go, we are not going to go.
If I could top it on me, because fucking guy, because okay. What the hell are you waiting for? If I could fly a car, because fuck a car, because okay. Fire against you. Oh no. Fire against you. Oh no. Cause my beat down got to but we go there. Yeah, yeah. Oh my beat down got to but we go there. Yeah, yeah. Oh shit. For your case, I go call MC. I go report all. For your case, I go call MC. I go report all. For your case, for your case, oh no. For your case,
Thank you so much.
$67. As many videos as you want, and you never camera or use any fancy editing software.